insight video today, and I want to talk about sort of like anchoring. I want to talk about illumination. I want to talk about the shift and change in the energy over the last couple of days. There's a different vibrancy, there's a different frequency to it. It's starting to integrate within the planet, but it's also integrating within our own energy fields. And sort of like as I was walking out today, I could feel the vibration within the sort of like the ether. I could feel that the trees vibrating with vibrancy, light, energy. I could feel it very much within sort of the whole of the sort of like the ether of the planet. Um, and it's just a shift and change. And what it's doing is it's integrating like a sort of a different conscious level on the planet. It's bringing a different level of consciousness to our own individual sort of like understanding, but also it's bringing like a different conscious level on a collective, on a planetary level. And this is all shifting and changing. I want to talk about, like I say, anchoring. But anchoring is also sort of like this concept of awakening. It's the ascension process as we're starting to awaken to source energy and source creation. It's also about illumination, where we're becoming sort of like aligned and we're becoming unified with this vibration of the law of one, and the vibration of like source energy and source creation within each and every one of us as beings. And it's sort of like it's anchored in. The illumination is also about a shift and change in evolution as a spiritual sort of like collective, as we're starting to open up, and we're starting to open up our energy channels and our energy fields. We're starting to become more aligned again, and this is what's happened in spiritual evolution in different like spiritual times and cultures in the past, and this is part of what's happening now on the planet. It's starting to shift and change for us. It's bringing liberation, it's bringing freedom. This morning I sort of like I was sitting there and I was walking back, and I could see like Archangel Sandalphon, which is very much around sort of like when my arcane, like in the Angels of Atlantis cards, it talks about evolution, it talks about the aligning of planets, and the aligning of planets is very much sort of like symbolic of the aligning of different frequencies. We're becoming in line with different frequencies, the universal frequencies, which is opening us up to different sort of like frequencies within like the different realms and the different dimensions and the different realities, as that's starting to align with the planet, and it's bringing the planet back into union with source energy, source creation, but also the infinite realms of realities of light and energy. We're all light and energy. Each and every one of us is light and energy, and the more that I sort of connect into this path, the more I'm sort of connected to light and energy. And I want to talk about like talking about the universal laws. I want to start sort of like talking about them as vibrations and frequencies. I know there's a universal law of vibration, but I want to talk about it sort of like universal laws, not as something that is a law in a sense, even though that's the kind of like human concept we have. It's like a principle, and principles are sort of like it's sort of like giving us information and understanding of a way of living, a way of being. But it's also about vibrations. Everything is about vibrations. Everything is about frequencies. And the more that you go into this spiritual path, the more you realize that your vibration, your frequency, is what shifts and changes reality. But also your vibration and your frequency is also what opens you up to receive, consciousness and understanding, but also connects you to your infinite self. And this is, again, as I was sitting there and linking into it this morning, it was very much talking about sort of, there's many terminologies and many things that have been talked about, like the higher self being talked about for countless years, and they've talked about like ascension for countless years. And ascension and the higher self, or the infinite self in that sense, have been around, and the knowledge and the understanding of this aspect of source energy and our sort of our light and our energy have been around for a long time. But it's the difference at the moment is the vibration and the frequency, and how it's being felt at the moment, because it's coming back, and it's vibrating, and it's unifying in a different way. And this is why this time's such a great time, because our consciousness is expanding in a way that we're coming back, and we're reclaiming, and we're awakening, and sort of like, and we're becoming aware again of like this infinite source energy and this infinite source creation. But also this energy that can be used in a way to bring harmony, bring balance to our own lives, but also bring it to the planet. But we're also sort of being awakened to that, there's no limitation. This concept of limited self and sort of like infinite self, against the contrast, it's like that connects to the vibrational polarity. There's an infinite and there's a limited. There's a dark, there's a light. There's a good, there's a bad, and all of these, although they're human concepts, they're contrast. They're contrast to the universe, and source energy is everything. So there's two aspects to it, and this is like the vibration of polarity, like the universal law. They say, well, the vibration of polarity. That there's two different sort of aspects to that. Illumination is also about sort of awakening to this vibration, this frequency within each and every being on the planet. And this is what the master did. This is like the path of mastery, where they become illuminated, where the illumination is the awakening, the awareness of the source energy and coming back into it. And when you start to come back in it, you come back into union. You come back into that infinite self, and then you start to create from a different place. Also, the vibration of correspondence is really, really important, and this is where illumination is connected in as well. Illumination is this kind of correspondence where you start to realize that light, that source energy that's within you, you start to create from that place, and you start to then sort of like, when you start to create from there, that center, you start to then create an external reality that's very much in line with universal principles, universal source energy, universal source creation. And this is what this time's about. And as we start to align to that, and this is why this time's so beautiful, because there's so many frequencies that are coming down, that are sort of, we're opening up to again, that we don't need to be limited. We don't need to be sort of like we don't need to be limited by the external reality, because the external reality is only a reflection of what inner reality that we're creating, and we have the blueprint, and we have this sort of source energy that we can use and shift and change. There was like I said, that I was talking about liberation. So there's the Angels of Atlantis. There's a card called like Jophiel, which is liberation, and this time's about liberation again. Is like this freedom, this spiritual freedom at the moment, and this is what the source energy is about. It's about unconditional. It's about freedom. It's about like the infinite possibilities, and this energy is what's coming down at the moment for all of us, and we're starting to connect and align to that. I've talked about like frequencies around like transformation and transmutation, and I talk about like Saint Germain in that way. And this is what the illumination is about as well. It's given illumination is also bringing wisdom, understanding, knowledge. It's bringing the universal understanding, that we can shift and change reality. We can transform it, and at any moment we can shift and change our reality, and also shift and change our state of being. And there's so much in it. The vibrancy of the energy at the moment is so beautiful. Is so harmonized, and you just have to sort of like connect into that and link into that. So there was liberation. And they're talking about freedom, and they're talking about sort of like this evolution going on at the moment, and all of that's aligning. It's aligning our energy. It's aligning our energy as a collective. And again, with the sort of like the vibration of the law of one, everything is happening at once. So there's no separation. There's no limitation. So in this sense, this is the knowledge. This is the wisdom that's coming back, and it's about us sort of like opening up. So we also have access to the ascended masters. We have access to the archangels. We have access to infinite ascended beings of light. The last couple of days, I've sort of like, every time I sort of like do any kind of sort of like looking, like putting an intention out there, it's always sort of about the law of one, and it's about this vibration of unity of light, like a family of light, and it's about sort of like, the more we sort of expand our consciousness and expand our understanding, to know that we're connected, and we can open up, and we can access these realms, and we can sort of like, in a sense, that's the ascension. It's like when people talk about going home, home isn't really necessarily a place. It's a state of being. Again, it's this source energy. is sort of is having the awareness and awakening again. And ascension is about that. It's about being in unity, in union with source creation, and with each other, and becoming again this collective of light. Light in the sense is what the path of light is what sets us free in that sense. Because like everything is light and energy, and when we start to vibrate and live as that light and express it, then we only track that sort of like unconditional sort of opportunities. There's unconditional sort of energies. I mean, there are going to be experiences and things around us that impact us, like from other people's and other actions. But again, knowing again in your source creation and this understanding of transmutation and transformation, you know you can shift and change anything at will. So in sense, you're not sort of like limited, or you're not sort of affected or impacted really in that way. There's no barriers really, because actually with the source creation and the source vibration that each and every one of us has, we just have to shift and change our awareness of how we approach it. And when we do that, then we again illumination comes in, because illumination is when we activate that, or we sort of like we align with that source creation, and that source energy. Then what we do is we illuminate ourselves to gain the understanding, the insight, the clarity, then to shift and change any situation, any reality. And this is what source creation does. It gives us the the ability to access this infinite flow of the divine intelligence, the divine source energy. But it also gives us direct access to our infinite selves, our multi-dimensional selves. And when we start to do that, we can start to see different sort of outcomes, different realities, and again, or different actions. Like again, the vibration of universal sort of law of inspired actions. We start to receive that guidance, but we getting that guidance from our infinite selves, and we start to become our channels, our own channels that are open to the source energy. We receive that source vibration, that frequency of our infinite selves, and then we start to then to live and express our lives through that infinite self. And this is what this ascension process is about, and this is what's happened in the many different realities and the many different sort of like cultures in the past, when you talk about Atlantis and Lemuria and these other spiritually evolved times. And this time is, and this frequency is here now for us to evolve to that kind of understanding. And this is what this time's at, and this is what illumination is about. That's the insight for today.